How is this possible?
BP is dropping. We have to move faster.
You tell me right now. Whose child is this? The operating room froze. A heartbeat echoed through the quiet space. And in that single breath, a wife realized the life she was saving carried her husband's betrayal. You tell me right now. Child, is this? Her voice did not shake. That was the most terrifying part. Dr. Elena Rao stood over the operating table, her gloved hand steady above the open incision. The bright surgical lights washed the room in white, but nothing felt clean. Anymore, across the sterile field lay a young pregnant woman fighting for her life, and in the corner of the room, pale and trembling, stood Elena's husband. The monitors blinked in quiet rhythm. The scent of antiseptic filled the air. Beneath her palms was a life that depended on her skill. Inside her chest, something far more fragile had just shattered. The patient, Maya, had been rushed in after severe internal bleeding. 7 months pregnant, blood pressure crashing, the baby's heart rate dropping. It was supposed to be another emergency, another life to save. Elena had handled hundreds like this before, but when she lifted her eyes and saw her husband Arjun gripping Maya's hand before they wheeled her in, something felt wrong. His fear was not the fear of a stranger. It was too personal. It's too raw. And then she heard Maya whisper before anesthesia took her under. Please, don't let him blame himself. Tell him our son needs him, our son. The words pierced deeper than any blade. Elena did not scream. She did not cry. She picked up her scalpel, because before she was a wife, she was a surgeon, and before she was a woman betrayed, she was a healer. Sworn to protect life. Years earlier, Elena had chosen medicine over comfort. She grew up in a small town where hospitals were far and doctors were rare. She remembered being 12 years old, sitting beside her younger brother on a dusty clinic floor, waiting for help that came too late. The smell of metal and sweat had filled the room. The helpless look in her mother's eyes burned into her. Memory. That day she promised herself no one under her care would ever feel abandoned. She trained harder than anyone else. Slept less. Ate standing up in hospital corridors. She learned to quiet her emotions because patients needed steady hands, not shaking ones. She learned that pain could be postponed. Duty could not. When she met Arjun during her residency, he admired her strength. He said her calm made him feel safe. He called her his anchor, and she believed him. They built a life filled with quiet routines. Morning tea. Late-night dinners after shifts. Plans for a child they never seemed to find. Time for... She trusted him with the same certainty she trusted her. Surgical skill, now that certainty lay exposed under bright lights in the operating room. Elena's mind split into two worlds. In one world, she was a wife whose heart had just been broken. Open in the other. She was the only doctor who could save both mother and unborn child. The nurses sensed the tension, but said nothing. Hospitals teach people to ignore what they do not understand. The anesthesiologist avoided her eyes. Arjun stood frozen beyond the glass, his reflection pale against the window. Elena pressed down on the bleeding vessel. Suction, clamp, stitch. Her movements were precise, mechanical, perfect. Inside a storm raged. She could walk away. She could call another surgeon. She could let someone else carry this burden. But then she felt the faint kick against her palm. Life does not pause for heartbreak. Her jaw tightened. Her voice remained level as she gave instructions. She worked for hours. That felt like seconds. Sweat gathered under her cap. Her shoulders ached. The baby's heart rate steadied slowly, like hope returning one beat at a time. Maya survived the procedure. The baby survived. When it was over, Elena stepped away from the table and removed her gloves. A thin line of red marked her wrist where latex had pressed too tight. She did not look at Arjun as she left the room. Outside, the hallway buzzed with quiet whispers. Nurses had already pieced together fragments of truth. Few looked at her with pity. Others with curiosity. No one spoke. Public silence can be louder than any accusation. Arjun followed her into a private consultation room. His words stumbled over themselves. It was a mistake. It meant nothing. He never planned for this. He still loved her. Elena listened. Her face showed nothing. The betrayal was sharp, but something else cut deeper. The fact that he had let her discover it like this, under surgical lights. While saving the life of the woman he had chosen, he reached for her hand. She stepped back there. Our wounds no scalpel can close. Days passed. Maya recovered in the maternity ward. The baby grew stronger. Lena returned to work as if nothing had happened. She moved through corridors with the same steady pace, reviewed charts, spoke kindly to patients, performed surgeries with flawless focus. But the hospital felt different now. Every hallway carried echoes. Every door seemed to whisper. Arjun tried to apologize, again and again. Flowers, messages. She remained silent. Her silence was not weakness. It was control. One evening, Elena stood outside Maya's room. Through the glass, she saw Arjun sitting beside the bed, holding Maya's hand, speaking softly. Maya's eyes were full of gratitude, unaware of the storm she had stepped into. Elena felt something shift inside her. This was not just about betrayal. It was about responsibility. It's about the child who would enter a world shaped by adult choices. She walked in. Maya's smile faded when she saw the weight in Elena's eyes. Arjun stood abruptly. Elena did not raise her voice. She did not accuse. She simply said that both mother and child were stable, that the surgery had been successful, that follow-up care would ensure a safe delivery. Her tone was professional, distant. Then she looked at Arjun. A person's true strength is not shown when they hold power. It is shown when they choose what to do with pain. Those words settled into the room like truth. Weeks later, the hospital board requested Elena attend a meeting. Rumors had spread. Some questioned whether she should have operated given the personal conflict. Others quietly praised her integrity. In that meeting, she spoke. Calmly, she explained that no patient chooses the circumstances of their suffering. She reminded them that a doctor's oath does not bend for personal heartbreak. She presented the surgical data, the stabilized vitals, the outcome, facts, not emotions. The room fell silent. Respect does not shout. It stands, the board commended. Her professionalism. Word spread beyond the hospital. Patients requested her by name. Colleagues, who once whispered now, looked at her with open admiration. Arjun watched from the edges of her life. Realizing the depth of what he had risked losing one night, he asked if there was any way to repair what he had broken. Elena looked at him for a long time. Trust is not rebuilt with promises. It is rebuilt with truth, and truth required consequences. She chose separation, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Months later, Maya went into labor. Complications arose again. And once more, Elena was the only surgeon available. The hospital held its breath. Would she refuse this time? She walked into the operating room without hesitation, because the child had done nothing wrong. The delivery was tense, but successful. A baby boy entered the world, crying with fierce strength. Nurses wrapped him gently and placed him beside his mother. Arjun stood at a distance, tears streaming down his face. Elena removed her gloves once more. This time, when she stepped into the hallway, staff members lined the corridor in quiet acknowledgement. No applause, no spectacle. Just silent respect. She had faced humiliation, betrayal, public scrutiny, and she had chosen honor every single time. As she walked past them, young nurse whispered softly that she hoped to be half as strong one day. Elena paused. Strength is not about never breaking. It is about choosing who you become after you do. The words lingered long after she was gone. In the months that followed, Elena focused on her work and on rebuilding her own life. She began mentoring young doctors, teaching them that skill without integrity is empty. She reminded them that life will test them in ways textbooks never can. Arjun remained a devoted father to his son. He carried the weight of his mistake quietly, respected the boundaries Elena set. The town spoke of her not as a woman betrayed, but as a surgeon who placed life above pride and in quiet moments. When Elena stood alone in the hospital chapel, she felt peace returning slowly. Not because she had avoided pain, but because she had faced it without losing herself. Some stories end with revenge. This one ended with dignity, because the unthinkable was not that she saved the child of betrayal. The unthinkable was that she did it with grace, and that is a strength the world rarely sees. If this story moved you, share where you are watching from. Tell us what strength means to you, and subscribe for more stories that honor the quiet heroes who choose dignity when no one expects it.